Kingdom Come. Chapter 1. Strange Visitor. Wesley Dodds, the Sandman, is racked with visions in his dying days, an epic battle between an eagle and a bat, and visions of an apocalypse. He tells his only friend, Father Norman McKay, about them, and upon his passing also passes the visions to Norman. Norman McKay lives in the future of the DC Universe 10 years after Superman has retired along with many of his generation's heroes, leaving the world to be overrun by their children and grandchildren. Nobel Prizes and Super Bowls had become a thing of the past as the world became more and more shaped and determined by the exploding metahuman population. Wesley used to walk with Norman, and he would ambush strangers on the street and ask them how much they missed the concept of human achievement. Norman tries to hold his faith, for God said that one day the meek would inherit the earth, but God never accounted for the mighty. The superheroes, who have mostly eliminated the supervillains, now fight each other in the streets with little regard for human life. A disaster occurs in Kansas, the parasite being hounded and attacked despite begging for mercy from the ruthless hero Magog, tore open the nuclear-powered hero Captain Atom's containment suit, causing a nuclear blast to devastate Kansas and its neighboring states. The loss of America's breadbasket throwing the world economy into upheaval. Norman's flock turn to him for comfort, but he has none to give, and finds himself relating his apocalyptic visions to them. After, he is visited by the Spectre, who says that Norman's visions will come to pass, and that he has been tasked with punishing a great evil, but he needs a human soul to guide him. Norman demands that since he is an angel, his existence is proof of Norman's faith, and he demands to know why nothing can be done to avert this catastrophe. The Spectre says that he will lead Norman along a journey, will show him what is to happen, so that Norman can tell him who is the guilty one. First, they go to see Superman in exile, living in an illusion of his old home. He has lost much and withdrawn from humanity. Wonder Woman comes to him to beg him to look at the world and what Magog has caused to happen. He does, but refuses to come out of hiding yet. Diana says that if he doesn't step in to control the young metahumans, the others of their generation won't either. They have always taken their lead from him. Clark tells her to go home, where she's safe. Spectre also shows Norman that a few of the old heroes remain. The Flash keeps a constant vigil over Keystone City. Hawkman guards the animals of the Pacific Northwest, and Green Lantern stands a lonely watch in orbit, waiting for alien threats. Batman has Gotham under control with literal iron fists. Just as Norman is about to bear witness to a needless tragedy caused by metahumans fighting on a cable car, Superman appears and saves the day. Norman is at first relieved, thinking that Superman will stop the apocalypse, but he soon sees the road to apocalypse has only just begun. Chapter 2. Truth and Justice. Superman and the Justice League begin by protecting traditional American values, freeing the Statue of Liberty from the control of the Americommando and his forces, who are fighting a new red, white, and blue with refugees caught in the middle. The Justice League are starting at one end of the country to retake it from the threat. He then flies to the United Nations to deliver a short speech, announcing his and the old heroes' return, and their intention to both curtail the violence of the young metahumans, and lead by example, setting a standard of behavior and restoring the values of preserving life and protecting the innocent. He is asked if he will also bring Magog to justice. Diana says that he will be dealt with if he surfaces, but after Kansas that doesn't seem likely. Superman visits Batman to ask if he will join his crusade, but Bruce Wayne has no interest in Superman's way of doing things. He and his own metahuman allies have a network of protection over part of the country surrounding Gotham, law and order enforced by robots and cameras. Superman says his form of protection is more like a police state, and Batman asks if he will be the first one reformed by Superman's agenda. Also at work is Lex Luthor's group of human allies, ex-villains and their successors, and they are acting to raise the tensions in the metahuman conflict to the breaking point, to force humanity to step in and take control. The Justice League stops metahuman conflicts and turns enemies into allies with diplomacy as a first resort, and force as a last, but there is still some who refuse to behave and must instead be contained. Superman makes another speech, inviting the young to be heroes because they are humanity's only hope. Oliver Queen arrives after to make a speech of his own, recruiting for Batman. Superman has assembled a vast amount of power, the Justice League meeting on Green Lantern's space station. And there was a rainbow round the throne, in sight likened to an emerald. America heals as the League extends into other countries, also suffering the same problem. There are less converts and more to be contained, and it is becoming a problem. Wonder Woman takes Superman to Atlantis, and she asks Aquaman for permission to build an underwater metahuman prison, but he denies her. He has enough to deal with protecting 70% of the Earth's surface, but he empathizes. Diana reveals she is no longer royalty. The Amazons decreed that she had failed in her mission to make the world a better place and revoked her title. She is no longer welcome among them. Arthur says he is sorry, but he cannot help. Superman tells Diana he's not comfortable with enforcing his will. A prison seems like fascism. Diana says they are at war, and they have no other choice. Those who refuse to restrain themselves must be contained, and only they have the power to do it. They are interrupted, though, as Magog has been found. Magog is in the ruins of Kansas, attempting to rebuild a house which crumbles. He rails at Superman, saying this is all his fault, and he tells the story of their past. It began when the Joker attacked Metropolis, killing 92 men and 1 woman, Lois Lane, when he attacked the Daily Planet. Superman, Batman, and Magog all scoured the city for him, but Magog found him first and killed him while in custody. Superman brought Magog in and put him on trial, but the public agreed that Magog had done the right thing. Superman then retired, seeing that the people no longer wanted his brand of justice, and he left the world to Magog and his kind. And that's why Magog says it's all Superman's fault. The world changed, but Superman wouldn't. They chose the man who would kill over the man who wouldn't, and now they're all dead. He breaks down before him, begging to be punished for what he knows is his own doing. Superman responds that they are at war, and asks Magog to join him. With the help of the new gods, a metahuman gulag is built in the ruins of Kansas to hold the growing number of malcontents and the guilty. In the wake of this escalation, Batman joins with Lex Luthor's group. Chapter 3. Up in the Sky. Norman's visions of apocalypse draw closer, and in them, 7 thunders utter their voices. The gulag was meant to house the combative metahumans for 6 months, but is quickly filled beyond capacity in 2 weeks. Inside, the heroes who refuse to value life are preached to by a hologram of Superman, trying to communicate why life must be preserved and innocence protected. The heroes aren't listening, though, and the tension between them is rising. Spectre joins the conversation of the quintessence, the various cosmic powers of the DC Universe, who have all sworn not to intervene in earthly affairs. Norman meets Deadman, who tells him the Spectre used to be human once. Superman and Diana talk of their plan. Wonder Woman says that they are warriors, they have an obligation to wage war, and Superman says that they, the most powerful, have a greater duty to peace, that only the weak succumb to brutality. Lex Luthor has been keeping Captain Marvel, Shazam, trapped inside the adult Billy Batson by brainwashing him to hate and fear superhumans with a mind-altering worm and propaganda films. He is Lex's ace in the hole. Bruce Wayne's robots are being produced by Lex Luthor's resources, preparing an army to police the world or fight the superhumans, whichever comes first. Batman's metahuman allies are also ready to act when they are needed. Bruce asks John Jones, formerly the Martian Manhunter, to help him. John was an alien who wanted to understand the human race so much that one day he opened his mind to the world and was forever shattered by its thoughts. Superman scans the planet, noting which countries they have brought peace to, when suddenly the Flash somehow sees Norman McKay and pulls him into the room as a solid being. Norman tries to warn Superman of the coming apocalypse, but Superman says they have everything in hand. Just then, though, an alert comes from the Gulag. A riot has broken out. The Spectre once again takes Norman unnoticed. Superman goes to the United Nations Security Council and informs them of the Gulag, asking for just a little patience. The humans tell Superman they might have to start deciding some things for themselves. Lex decides now is the time, and tries to send Captain Marvel to go break open the prison. Before he can, however, Batman reveals he only allied with Lex to find Captain Marvel, and he signals his allies to attack. Soon the villains are captured, but Captain Marvel has run, fearing the heroes. Bruce tries to talk sense into him, explaining how his mind was warped, how he was one of the first to retire from the darkening world, and Lex played on his fear of superhumans, always reminding him he had one hiding inside. Billy smashes a tank of mindworms on himself, though, and in a panic, he says his magic word. Batman rushes to the cave. Diana readies herself for battle with a suit of armor and a magic sword. Superman says they can't take life, that would make them no better than the ones they're trying to teach. Diana says he has to be realistic, that force might be the only thing that makes them learn. While they argue, news comes that the riot has almost broken the Gulag open, and the prisoners have almost escaped. They have already killed Captain Comet. Superman is shocked by this, having known Comet for so long. Diana summons her troops to battle. They will give the youth one chance to surrender, and if they refuse, then it's war. Superman speeds to the Batcave and begs Bruce to help. Bruce says that this was inevitable, that maybe it's for the best if the two sides consume each other. Superman says that as different as they were and are, the one thing they always had in common was their dedication to the preservation of life. Bruce tells Superman that Captain Marvel has been warped by Lex Luthor, and he's on his way to break the Gulag open right now. Superman is gone, faster than the speeding bullet, and Batman finally knows what it's like to be left like that. Norman sees it all at once. Diana and her force is about to engage the escaping prisoners, and Superman speeding towards the coming battle, the only hope of stopping it. Magic lightning strikes the Gulag, creating a hole. Superman is stopped by the one thing faster than the speeding bullet, a bolt of lightning. Armageddon has arrived. Chapter 4. Never-Ending Battle. Norman's visions of Apocalypse were visions of this battle all along. Superman and Captain Marvel fight one-on-one as the world erupts into chaos around them. Norman demands that the Spectre do something, but he can take no action yet. His mission is not to intervene, but to judge the guilty, and he tells Norman that his hour of judgment has come. Superman tries to talk sense to Captain Marvel, but the brainwashing is too strong. He has become an agent of chaos, and the one man who can stop Superman from containing the battle. Superman isn't the only force that can end this, though, and the United Nations votes to bomb the superhuman war before it spreads out. They have a super bomb capable of doing the job. The entire world worked together to build it, and it's impervious to superpowers. One would be enough. They send 3. Humanity makes its final move before it has no more moves to make. The battle rages, and this battle is not one that will simply end. Any second there will be casualties and no way to turn back, and this is the kind of war of superpowers left unchecked that will end the world. A new player takes the field as Batman swoops in with his army of metahumans and robots, all of them acting with one goal, to stem the loss of life on both sides. Batman represents a spark of hope, but it is too late. Diana kills von Bach, the German nationalist and leader of the prisoners, the first casualty of metahuman war. Batman admonishes her, citing that Amazon tenet of forcing peace is a paradox, and accuses her of trying to win back her station by overcompensating. Furious, she attacks Batman, and the two fly high above the clouds and see the bombers on their way. Superman gains the upper hand on Captain Marvel, but his words fall on deaf ears as Marvel uses his magic lightning as a weapon, saying his magic word and speeding out of the way. Again and again, he strikes Superman with his lightning as the battle rages on, ever growing. Batman says that if Diana is so committed to her war of extinction, they should let the bombers do their job. Instead, they attack, taking down 2 of the bombers, but the third drops its payload. Superman grabs Captain Marvel's mouth, holding him still and forcing him to transform back into Billy Batson. The Spectre tells Norman it is time. Their entire journey has brought them to this moment, and he asks Norman to judge, who is at fault for this evil, the humans or the superhumans? Should the bomb be allowed to fall and save humanity at the cost of the heroes? Or should the bomb be stopped, and should metahuman war engulf the world? The bomb will determine the fate of the world, and the Spectre asks Norman to judge. Norman insists that there is no evil here, only tragedy and bedlam. Superman says that he doesn't know what to do, that every decision he's made has led them here, has been wrong. He tells Billy about the bomb, and he says he's sure he can stop it. What he doesn't know is if he should be allowed to. Norman says that he's not a god, and Superman says that he's not a man, but Billy is both. He tells Billy he's the only one who knows what it's like to live in both worlds, and so he's the one who has to judge. He asks if Billy understands the choice he's making him to make, and his tears answer for him. Superman flies into the sky, and Billy says his magic word, and when he cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. Captain Marvel flies after Superman, catching him, throws him to the ground. He continues upward, however, striking the bomb, and finally striking it several times with his magic lightning. The bomb detonates in the air, wreaking devastation below. The Spectre says the judgment has been passed. Superman screams into the void. He is surrounded by blasted skeletons and death. His eyes glow red with rage as he takes off into the sky. The Spectre tells Norman that he's gone to confront the humans because he feels alone, but he need not. Thanks to Captain Marvel's sacrifice and the powers of the heroes, there were survivors, but the war is over. The Spectre prepares to leave, his task complete, but Norman insists that if he lets things happen the way they're about to, let Superman take his vengeance, that would truly be evil. Superman has sealed the UN building and is about to bring down the roof on the terrified people within. The Spectre says he is unleashing an anger he has held back for 10 years. Who could possibly quell that rage? Norman says he isn't angry at the people. He's angry at himself, and asks to speak to him. Norman appears and tells Clark that he blames himself for Captain Marvel, for Magog and Kansas, for 10 years that ended today. But in his anger, he's again forgetting what humans feel. He says they won't forgive him for this, and asks him to forgive himself. Clark asks him why he's here, and he says to bear witness. Norman says that Clark lost his greatest power, his inherent sense of right and wrong, which was a gift of his humanity. When he turned his back on humanity and put the super before the man, it took his judgment away. He says to take it back. If Clark wants redemption, it lies in the very next decision he makes, and Norman asks him to make it as a man, and to make it right. The surviving heroes have followed him and arrive at the UN. Batman tells Superman that enough have survived from both sides to leave them the same problem as before. Superman lands and speaks to the men of the UN. He said that 10 years ago he let the people he protected drive him away, and that's where all this began. He pledges to change that the humans and superhumans were both wrong to see themselves as gods, and that to build a future they must live and work together. He says they will no longer impose their power on humanity and work to earn back their trust. He says it's the wisdom Captain Marvel left as his legacy. Superman had asked Billy to choose between humans and superhumans, but he alone knew that was a false division, and he made the only choice that ever matters. He chose life, in the hope that the two worlds could be one again. Time passes and the world heals, helped along by Batman, who has turned Wayne Manor into a hospital, trading black for white. Diana is welcomed back by the Amazons, no longer sees herself as a failed student, but a teacher whose work is just beginning. Alan Scott now sits on the UN Council, representing Earth's Emerald satellite, New Oa. Everyone is working together, except for Superman. Alone, he builds a memorial in Kansas to the lives lost there, lost to all their mistakes. Diana says to let them rest in peace. They'll only haunt him if he forgets what they taught him, and gives him a gift, something to help him see more clearly. Clark Kent puts on his glasses once more and resumes tilling the blasted earth. Norman asks the Spectre what the man he used to be would think of this outcome, and Jim Corrigan is not so sure. But he tells Norman that he has walked the earth with gods and held stride, so maybe he isn't as different from them as he thinks. He exists to give hope. Norman's faith in himself is restored, along with his faith in the future, and he comforts his flock with the lessons his journey has taught him, and with the truth that a dream is not always a prophecy, that the future, like so much else, is open to interpretation, that hope is brightest when it dawns from fear. 1 year later, Clark and Diana ask Bruce to lunch at planet Krypton, a humbling experience for all of them, that they now can truly value. Clark and Diana tell Bruce that they're pregnant, and ask him to be the baby's godfather. There are things that Batman can teach him or her that they cannot, and it's best if he or she isn't raised entirely in seclusion on Paradise Island. Clark tells Bruce that despite all their differences, he has always trusted him, and that he is a good man. And they hug. The child represents their commitment to the future and the never-ending battle for truth, justice, and a new American way. The end. The Kingdom is the sequel to Kingdom Come. Also written by Mark Waid, it first tells the origin of our villain, Gog, a man who put his faith in Superman because he believed Superman was a god, and who, when he felt betrayed by Superman and then became empowered by the Quintessence, began murdering Superman earlier and earlier in his timeline, intending to expose his evil by causing the Kansas disaster in the present day instead of his own future. He arrives on the day Clark and Diana's baby is born and kidnaps him, intending to raise him as Magog, and forcing the heroes to journey into the past to the present-day DC universe to team up with their past selves to try and save the child and restore their timeline. But they will end up discovering the greatest secret in the universe. Let's begin. A young boy has somehow survived the Kansas disaster and is found by Superman wandering the wasteland. The Quintessence has decided to act, choose an agent to affect the world of men. They form a scroll that contains the knowledge of every event that led to the Kansas disaster, and the power to change those events and the world. The boy has become a man. A man with a mission. Minister William tends to the sick and aged as a priest at Metropolis General in the year 2031 in the Kingdom Come future. The world has changed quickly with the merging of humans and superhumans into one society. Matthew believes he lives in a utopia gifted to them by Superman. Matthew has even built his own church to Superman, and plans to preach his gospel. Clark sees this and decides he must speak to William. Clark tells William that Kansas wasn't his will or his test, and William didn't pass it. Kansas was Superman's fault. It was the result of mistakes that he made. It happened because he left humanity and wasn't there to stop it. He apologizes, telling William that seeing themselves as gods was a mistake in the first place. William is crushed, and now begins to blame Superman for letting his parents die in the blast. William burns down his church and rages through the streets, desperately seeking a new mission, and the Phantom Stranger finds him, and hands him the scroll, telling William it is history, knowledge, and purpose. William bursts into flames. William sees the birth and growth of the superheroes, and the events which led to Kingdom Come, up to the Kansas disaster. He is infused with the powers of the gods, the Source, the Guardians, and the other cosmic powers of the DC Universe. The Stranger tells William, now Gog, that he now knows the events that led to the disaster which defined his life, and being a good man, he now has the power to change them, to avert the tragedy. Gog vanishes, saying he knows what to do. Clark is working on a bridge, using his heat vision to weld a girder into place. He recognizes William's heartbeat and asks if he's come for advice. Gog fries Superman in a blast of cosmic energy, saying that he has come for judgment. Superman crashes into the bridge. Gog now blames Superman for the Kansas disaster and has identified him as the Beast of Revelations, identified by his one distinctive mark, the S-Shield. He plans to expose Superman's evil to the world by more clearly linking him to the Kansas disaster, by causing it to happen before Superman retires. Having killed Superman, he travels back in time. The Quintessence sees that Gog had gone mad from the power and knowledge they infused him with, but still believes he can be their agent of change. Kal-El, the original Golden Age Superman who disappeared into a pocket universe after Crisis on Infinite Earths, pounds on the walls of the sky. If anyone ever deserved heaven, it was him. A blissful reward commensurate with the greatness of his legend, a familiar realm nonetheless removed from worldly concerns. And for a while, the song of angels mingled with the heartbeats of his loved ones and the clack of typewriter keys, to drive a nagging realization from his brain. Once upon a time, the slightest squint had allowed him to see beyond the stars. The smallest step had carried him from planet to planet. But here, for the first time in his long life, there are limits. Like clockwork. Look, up in the sky. He deserved heaven, not prison. Superman arrives in a purgatory of sorts and is greeted by Deadman. He asks the date of Superman's death and introduces him to the others. Superman's spirit has arrived here many times, it seems, from different dates in history. They are pooling their telescopic vision to see into the world, watching Superman fighting Mr. Mxyzptlk on Wednesday. Gog blasts a hole in Mixie and through Superman, who vanishes into the past. On Monday, Gog detonates a bomb which replicates the explosion of Krypton and begins the 1,000-year process of turning Superman's body into living kryptonite, after which he will die. Deadman tells the newest Superman that the space-time continuum simply hasn't caught up to what Gog is doing. No one really knows exactly why this is happening. Phantom Stranger accuses each of the Quintessence of trying to advance their own cosmic aims by accelerating the Kansas disaster. All have lost power in the world over time, and it could help them get it back. He also mentions that one being knows the secret Gog may soon expose, and we see Vanishing Point, the fortress set at the end of time, and its host, the Linear Men, guardians of the time stream. They are flustered by the anomaly Gog is causing by killing Superman earlier and earlier in time. Each one technically should be making the last one impossible to have happened, as there is only one time stream, and yet the Superman spirits prove and represent that they still happened. Matt Ryder, the human from whom Wave Rider was born, tried looking beyond the time barrier and saw only chaos and confusion, and blames himself for being delusional. Wave Rider says their instruments aren't giving them anything useful anymore. Rip Hunter steps outside of time by creating a time point, a shield around one day in history, to hide his actions from his team, and he sets off alone. No, he is the one of whom the stranger spoke. Only he knows the secret of what is going on. The day he chose is a day when it seemed like anything could happen. The day that Clark Kent and Diana of Themyscira's son was born, with Bruce Wayne as his godfather. Jonathan Kent is born happy and healthy. Starman, Dr. Fate, and the Ray draw circles of light around the world in celebration of new life, of tomorrow's hope born anew, and of love conquering all. Gog blasts Clark with his staff and says he had no idea Satan spawned a son. Gog claims he is divine retribution and he blasts the Amazons. He tells Superman he saved him from Kansas, and Superman recognizes William. He states his mission to expose Superman's evil by causing the Kansas disaster while Superman was still active, thus connecting them in history and destroying his reputation, and severing the line of heroism leading 1,000 years into the future to the Legion. Far more than just Superman is at stake. The Justice League arrives. Green Lantern blocks Gog's next attack and demands that Gog surrender the child. Wonder Woman and Flash both attempt to grab the baby, but both fail. Gog can sense the electrons in Flash's path being energized. He has cosmic levels of power, warped by his insanity, and he has the child of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Gog attempts to travel back in time, but is prevented by Rip Hunter, who has sealed the day off in a time point. Green Lantern and the magic users shield the baby while the others attack Gog with their energy powers, but he only feeds on their power. Hunter asks Diana and Clark what they would sacrifice for their son. They say anything, and Hunter tells them to sacrifice their instincts and stay back. He will use his time stream powers to slip between nanoseconds and grab the child. The protective barrier is breached, and somehow Gog is even aware of Hunter's approach. Gog breaks Hunter's time-controlling wristband, unsealing his exit. He vanishes into the past with the baby, intending to raise him as his own son, his Magog. Gog has traveled back to the year 1998. The three parents offer to go and save him, and the Linear Man can transport them, but the moment they do, their future timeline will be in question. If they change anything in the past, their entire world could cease to exist, including baby Jonathan Kent. Knowing that they must take this one and only chance, Hunter hides himself and the three from the Linear Men. He retrieves their costumes from yesterday, and he says that while they can't defeat Gog, they can hold him while Hunter puts some contingencies in place. Batman asks why he would betray his team to help them, and Hunter says there's more to the timeline the Linear Men are aware of, and he is protecting the greatest secret in the universe by helping them stop Gog from changing time. But it appears it may already be too late, as in 1998 the Kent farm experiences a massive explosion. In 1998, Superman hears about the explosion on the news, a battle with Captain Atom gone awry, and quickly flies to Kansas to investigate. Superman is horrified as he sees his own symbol burnt into the ground at the epicenter of the disaster. Rip Hunter discusses his plan with an unknown ally at the vanishing point, still hidden from his teammates. He has dispatched agents through something called Hypertime to gather supplies. Gog is wielding immense power capriciously and threatens to expose the greatest secret in history. Superman arrives at the Kent farm to find his parents are fine, and he detects no radiation in the area. He speeds across a field to find Gog blasting Captain Atom with a beam of energy near a large chunk of kryptonite. Gog easily smacks Superman away. Gog rants about exposing Superman's evil by causing a nuclear disaster in Kansas which Superman will fail to prevent. Gog blasts Superman across the field, but he is caught by a stranger in blue. Relax, I've got you. Got me? Who? Clark sees it as an older version of himself, along with versions of Batman and Wonder Woman. He says to go ahead and use his JLA signal device, it can't get any worse now. They were supposed to avoid interacting with their past selves to minimize disruption to the time stream. Clark calls Bruce and Diana. The Phantom Stranger accuses Zeus, Highfather, Ganthan, and Shazam of using William's insanity for their own ends, and warping reality with their influence. He says that Gog is ready to commit genocide against the superheroes because they allowed him to believe his cause was just. Kingdom Come Superman has explained the situation to their present-day counterparts. He says he's come to rescue his son, and lets present Clark believe it's Lois's. The Batman want to strategize, but once future Clark realizes the baby is inside the kryptonite, they all simply charge at Gog. Both Superman and Wonder Woman tackle Gog at once while the Batmen try to free his captives. Future Batman gives Clark a plan to hold Gog, sending them to West Virginia 1,200 miles east. Gog smashes present Superman into the ground with one hand. The Wonder Woman take out his legs while future Superman hits his head, but Gog responds with heat vision. He has been amassing powers along his journey. The four pick up Gog and fly with him, following future Clark's lead. He's cleared out a coal mine, and the heroes drive Gog into it. The Supermen pressurize the coal around Gog into a giant diamond prison. It won't last long, but the Batmen have opened the kryptonite and rescued Captain Atom. Future Superman has built up an immunity to kryptonite over the years. Perhaps he passed it to the baby, because he seems alright. But baby Jonathan vanishes into thin air in his mother's arms. Diana wails in misery. They say that their timeline is fading, history has changed too much, and soon they will all disappear as well. But first, Diana swears vengeance on Gog. Gog erupts from the earth beneath them, saying they are deluding themselves, that Superman is evil, and he says that he will write that message in their blood. Future Diana plunges her sword into Gog's chest, yelling that he killed her son. Before he can retaliate, Rip Hunter opens a portal and summons the heroes through, saying he has a plan. The portal leads to planet Krypton and a few young heroes from the Kingdom Come future. Rip plunges the entire building into Hypertime to protect the outside world from the coming battle. Superman asks what Hypertime is, and Rip replies it's the greatest secret in all creation. Gog follows through the portal into the building and blasts Rip before he can finish explaining what this place is. The new Titans attack him. He deals with them easily, and Superman makes a grab for his staff. He fails to take it though, and Gog blasts the Titans and Wonder Woman with cosmic force. Kid Flash tells Batman the young heroes at Rip's direction traveled through Hypertime to gather objects of power to stock the theme restaurant with, replacing the replicas. Batman turns the Phantom Zone projector on Gog. It strips away layers of his skin as the other heroes grab Green Lantern rings and other heroes' weapons. The heroes pile on Gog with the borrowed weapons, from the sword of an atomic knight and the Blue Devil's trident, to Orion's Astroforce harness and the guns of the two-gun Kid. Present Superman asks what tragedy he's supposed to be responsible for. But future Batman allays his concerns, focusing them all on the fight. But Gog's power seems truly unmatched as he unleashes his full might and overwhelms their heroic combined effort. The heroes lie scattered, and as they regroup, future Diana tells present Superman the tragedy in his future, how he abandoned his fight for truth and justice when mankind needed him most, all because he failed to stop Lois from dying. Superman says he will never let that happen, and rallies one last attack, but Gog is unstoppable. Gog's blast knocks Superman out of the building, leaving a hole in the wall. It bounces back and finally stops Gog as well, his own power turning on him. Rip says that Superman breached the walls of Hypertime, as everything in the room is getting sucked out through the hole. The young heroes' traveling wristbands break, and future Batman says it wouldn't matter, they've changed time too much and their future is gone. Gog thinks this is a victory for him, but only until Superman bursts back into the room. He tells everyone to take his hands, and he pulls his other self and the heroes out through the hole. Rip says they are now beyond the barriers of time and space, in the entryway to a realm never seen by mortal eyes. Welcome to Hypertime, he says. Every alternate universe, alternate timeline, and Elseworlds is here. Every dream, hoax, and imaginary story can be seen as separate universes from here. All of DC's published works are real, as seen from here. Everything is canon. Everything is real. This is Hypertime, the greatest secret in creation. Hypertime is the vast interconnected web of parallel timelines which comprise reality. Since the crisis, the inhabitants of the DC universe have only been aware of one timeline, with temporary alternate timelines popping up in individual books, and pocket universes filling a gap left by the multiverse. Rip says that Gog thought he was omnipotent, but he only had power over one reality. In his madness, he was able to use Superman to break Hypertime's boundaries. Gog will soon learn that reality is infinite, and the possibilities are limitless. The linear men are obsessed with the one single timeline they can monitor and control. Rip says that's why he had to hide this from them. They prefer an orderly continuity to a kingdom of wonder. Rip explains that certain events can splinter off the main timeline into alternates, and they can sometimes rejoin the main one. History is in constant motion as well as the future. Present Superman sees his forebear, Kal-El, the Golden Age Superman, still in his own pocket metropolis. Rip tells him not to be frightened by these possibilities and carryovers from one kingdom to another. They are but reminders that the lives they lead are forever part of a greater legend. The future heroes realize that they are from one such alternate timeline, and if they still exist, their child does too, and a man approaches holding a baby. Jonathan Kent is alive and well, the unique child of 3 parents. He was born with the power over Hypertime, and he instinctively vanished into it when threatened. He's alive and well as a baby, and as a young white-haired man. Jonathan says that their work is done and they will fade not into oblivion but into their own kingdoms. He says that in the future they will learn to explore Hypertime, that their understanding of it is just beginning. Superman asks if he'll be real in his own future, and he says perhaps and perhaps not. Now more than ever, they know the magic of it all. Each and every one of them are all simply stories waiting to be told. Just imagine. The cosmic beings have also borne witness to these events, and not even they knew the full truth of it. Jonathan has brought the future heroes to tell them their responsibilities are to repair the damage they did to William. The gods themselves realize how small they are in the larger picture, and plan to reforge their bond to the human race, the glory of whose true identity has only begun to be known. Epilogue. For all he'd done, he deserved heaven, not prison. But now, at long last, he knows this isn't the jail he once believed it to be. Now he knows there's a door. There's a door, even if he's not going to use it. Not today, anyway. The end.